Hello action figure fans, this is HammerTron here with a new action figure review for you. This video goes up on a Monday, so this is Masters of the Universe by Mattel Monday. This time I am reviewing the Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man action figure. This was released in 2020. I bought it in 2020. I'm just now getting around to opening this up. And here it is in a nice packaging. It looks like the original style packaging for the original Masters of the Universe action figures from way back in the 1980s, but it's a newer one. This is for the year 2020. We can see some differences between this and the original. It looks like there's a different head in there, not quite the same as the original He-Man face, which is too bad, but we can see some extra articulation there. With packaging like this, although it looks nice, I would prefer boxes because they're easier to open and close, but with this one I'll probably have to cut around between the plastic and the cardboard. I'll try to leave some part on the top here as a flap so I can put the action figure back in for storage, moving, or for display. That looks pretty nice. Nothing on the bottom or the top, the side, or this side. Here is the back. You can see a nice picture of He-Man here and a little description of the action figure line. Here it says Masters of the Universe Origins there. We have some manufacturing information and a cross-sell showing the other action figures available at the time, plus showing how the action feature, or in this case the superposability, works. So I will open this up and review the action figure in just a moment. Here's the Masters of the Universe Origin He-Man on the left and the Masters of the Universe Masterverse He-Man on the right. And it looks like the Origins He-Man action figure's hair is maybe slightly darker yellow than the Masterverse version of He-Man. Here are the two versions of He-Man in some action battle poses. Looks pretty good this way. I think the Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man action figure on the left, the shorter version, I think it would work well with the 7-inch scale on the right side if we consider the Origins versions to be dwarf characters. Although a little bit oddly proportioned, maybe they're just magical dwarves, and they'll fit in nicely with the 7-inch scale action figures. Here is the most powerful man in the universe freed from the package. This is He-Man and some of the accessories he comes with. He also comes with a little mini comic book. It's an entertaining and very short little story. Looks like just 8 pages, so a bit short. On the back is a cross-sell, the same thing on the back of the package. And He-Man comes with a shield, so we can clip the shield over his forearm after putting his open hand through the handle here. So it looks like a nice shield. He has a power sword, but like the original sword way back in the 80s, this is half of the sword. The other half is Skeletor's sword, and once we have both halves we can put them together to create a single sword. I think I would prefer a single sword for He-Man because that's what he had in the cartoon. And he comes with a battle axe. Very simple battle axe. I don't think there's any painted details on it, but it looks nice. Here is the He-Man action figure. Let's see how tall this is. With the legs as straight as possible, it looks like this action figure is about 5 3/4 inches tall, or about 14.5 centimeters tall. So just a little bit taller than the original He-Man action figure, which I don't have. But it's an alright looking action figure. Although the face does not look quite right, it doesn't quite look like the original He-Man. But it's not too bad. His hair is a bit too bright yellow, I think. But it looks like he's very muscular. He certainly works out. The wrist bracers are painted. I think on the original He-Man action figures, very often they were not painted. There's his furry trunks, muscular legs, and furry boots. On the bottom we have paggles and heels. And not a whole lot of details on the back. Just a lot of muscles. So let's take a look at the articulation. With the head, we can look up that much. Look down a little bit, turn side to side. Just a little bit of head tilting at the shoulders. We can go out this far. So, very nice. Much better than the original. And they can go all the way around. Although they seem to go in when we go up and then go out a little bit when we come down. And no bicep cut on this, but a single jointed elbow. It goes in that far, less than 90 degrees. Same thing on this side, less than 90 degrees. And we have a swivel at the elbow. So that is working. At the wrist, we can turn the hands or twist the wrist, and there's a hinge. So that's pretty good. Same thing on this side, and there's a hinge. There's a waist twist. So that's working. Now the original He-Man action figures all had springs or rubber bands inside so that it would snap back, but these don't. These new ones don't. So once we turn them, they stay where we turned them. At the hips, they go out this far. So not too bad for splits. They could be a little better. And we can kick forward just that far, not very far. And back just a tiny bit. So kick forward this far. Kick back just a tiny bit. No upper thigh cuts, no twist. Single jointed knees. Go that far. And that far. And then there's a twist at the knee. So the knees do twist just a little bit on both sides. We have a boot cut where we can turn the boot there. So that is working. At the ankles, you can do the tippy toes there and go up pretty far. So that's pretty good. And there's ankle pivot. So that is working. So a lot of nice articulation. Much more than the original He-Man action figures. Now what's interesting is there are a couple of things we can do. We can actually take the head off carefully. And what else can we do? I think we can take him apart at the waist. I want to be very careful. So that allows us to take this harness off. So that's why there's no spring-loaded action in there, because we can take this apart. I think we can take apart the arms and maybe at the boots, but I'm a little nervous about pulling this action figure apart. I don't think that is the intended play feature of this action figure. I think that's just an accident or just a byproduct of the manufacturing process where it's all plastic. There's no springs or rubber bands in it, so it's all plastic. And the quicker and easier that an action figure can be put together, the cheaper it is. So if there are fewer different parts and it's all plastic, if it's just easier to snap together, then it's cheaper to make. And I think that's why the head and the waist and the arms and the boots can come off so easily. So it wasn't an intentional play feature, it's just a byproduct of a manufacturing process that Mattel chose. But it's still a pretty nice action figure. Looks a lot like the original, just a little bit taller with all the articulated joints. And the legs are not fully straight. It's still meant to look like the squat muscular pose of the original He-Man action figures, but it's a pretty nice action figure. Let's see if we can put on some of his equipment here. We can slide on the shield, snap it in place. We can put the sword in the sheath on the back. That'll fit nicely. And then put the battle axe in his hand. And it looks like He-Man is ready to battle the evil Skeletor. Here is the Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man action figure next to a pair of 4-inch action figures. On the right is an adventurer from an Animal Planet set I reviewed a while ago. On the left is the Fortnite Jonesy action figure by Jazzwares. And I think this scale, this He-Man scale action figure, would work well with the 4-inch action figures as kind of a giant-sized monster that they have to battle. Here is the Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man action figure next to a 6-inch action figure on the left, the Action Force Condor action figure by Valiverse, and a 7-inch action figure on the right, the Masters of the Universe Masterverse He-Man action figure by Mattel. And I think the Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man action figure works well with this scale if we consider him to be a dwarf character, although he's a little oddly proportioned to be like a human dwarf, or he could be a little mini-sized monster for the 6 or 7-inch scale action figures. But they could work together pretty well if we use our imagination. I think the Masters of the Universe Origins style action figures are pretty nice. The head sculpt on this He-Man action figure is not quite right. It doesn't look like the original, but the rest of the figure looks alright. It looks very similar to the original style of Masters of the Universe action figures from 40 years ago. Plus it has more articulation, so it fits in better with modern style action figures. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with the action figure. Here's the packaging. I did manage to open it by keeping the top part attached so that I could try to store it, although I did rip it up quite a bit, so I'm a bit disappointed. Personally, I would have preferred some boxes so it's easier to open and close and keep it neat. But all in all, it's a pretty nice action figure. Thank you for watching my review video. Remember to like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think of this action figure, and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my future reviews. I'll see you next time, action figure fans.